Alright, so your Unit 2 test review looks like this, and we're going to go through it all. So let's start here on page 1, number 1. You're supposed to do two things: name a pair, and then tell me congruent or supplementary, and you can write C or S for congruent or supplementary. Okay, so naming a pair. Number 1, A and B are outside of these parallel lines, so those are exterior, and then they're on different sides of this transversal, so they're alternate. So we would call that alternate exterior, which is letter D. Now, remember, only the same sides are supplementary. So since this is alternate exterior, that'll make it congruent. The only time it's supplementary is when we have a same side. Okay. Number 2, A and B are at an intersection and they're across from each other. Okay. So when they're across from each other at an intersection, we call that vertical angles. So vertical angles, we know from Unit 1, are congruent. Okay. Number 3, A and B are outside of the parallels, so those are exterior, but they're on the same side of the transversal, so that would be same side exterior, letter F. Alright, so now that we have a same side, we know that's going to be supplementary. They're going to add up to 180 degrees. Number 4, A and B make a straight line. Right? They're right next to each other. They're adjacent. They make a straight line. So we call that a linear pair. That's from Unit 1. And linear pairs make a straight line of 180 degrees. So this is the only other one that is supplementary, because we know linear pairs are supplementary. Number 5, A and B are between the parallels, so those are interior angles. And A and B are on the same side of the transversal, so that would be same side interior. Since it says same side, we know it's supplementary. Same side, supplementary. Okay, now number 6 is the weird one. A is outside the parallel, B is inside the parallel. They are on the same side of the transversal, but one's in and one's out. So since they're in the same position, just shifted down, we call that corresponding angles, when one's in and one's out. And corresponding is not a supplementary because it's not same side in the name. Okay, I know the name itself does not say the word same side. Corresponding are congruent. Last but not least, on this page, number 7, A and B are between the parallels, so they're interior, but they're on different sides of this transversal, so they're alternate. Alternate interior angles. So if they're alternate interior, we know they're going to be congruent. 8 through 10 says to identify the pair of angles, solve for unknown, and find the missing angle measures, and circle whether the angles are congruent or supplementary. So looking at these two angles that are labeled right here and right here, do you notice they're outside the parallels? So they're going to be exterior, but they're on the same side of the transversal. So that would make them same side exterior. Same side exterior. Cool. And now we need to solve for x. So if they're same side exterior, we're going to skip to this bottom box down here. We know same side is supplementary. Supplementary does not mean they're equal, so we're not going to put them equal to each other, but we know that they add up to 180 degrees, right? So that's what we're going to do. Let's take these two angles and add them up. So 70 plus 4x plus 10 equals 180. Do you see how I set it up when it's supplementary? Now we're going to have to combine like terms on the left side of this equation. 70 plus 10 is 80. Bring down 4x plus 4x equals 180. We got to get rid of our loner 80, so minus 80 minus 80 gives me 4x equals 100. And then get rid of that 4 by dividing, and x equals 25. So over here, we're going to write 25. But then we need to find ACB. So ACB is right over here. It's 4x plus 10. So if I know it's 4x plus 10, and x right here is 25, it's going to be 4x, which is 25. 4 times 25 plus 10. 4 times 25 is 100. 100 plus 10 gives me 110. So ACB equals 110 degrees. And that should make a lot of sense because remember, these two angles are supplementary. 70 plus 110 is 180. Okay, look at number 9. On number 9, we have doing the same thing. What's the pair of angles? So these two angles, right here and right here, they're between the parallels, so I know they're going to be interior. Different sides of the transversal, so they're alternate. So they would be alternate interior angles. Okay. If they're alternate interior, let's skip down to here. What kind of angles are these? If they're alternate interior, well, it's not same side, so we call that congruent. Okay. Now congruent means we're going to put an equal sign between their measurements. And let's do that. 3y plus 60 equals 75. And let's solve it. Get rid of that loner. Minus 60, minus 60. Cross out. 3y equals 15. And then to get rid of that 3, we divide by 3. We divide by 3. Y equals 5. Now, it wants to know what DCF is. Don't we already know that these two angles have to be congruent? So if this angle over here is 75, guess what the other angle is going to be? 75. But if you took it over here and you plugged in 5 for y, 3 times 5 plus 60, you'd get 15 plus 60, and that would be 75. No matter how you do it, you should get the same answer, 75 degrees, whether you know they're congruent, whether you plug it in. On number 10, same idea, so let's go ahead and think about this. These two angles are between the parallels, so they're interior, but they're on the same side of the transversal. So that would be same side interior. And again, when we see that word same side, what do we know? Same side is supplementary. It's going to add up to 180 degrees. So let's do that. 150 plus 2x plus 20 equals 180. Combine like terms. 170, bring down 2x equals 180. And then we get rid of our loner. Minus 170, minus 170. 2x equals 10. And then we got to get rid of that 2. When we divide by 2, x equals 5. Okay, now this should be an x right here. X equals 5. And they want to know what is ACB. Now, notice, it's asking you for, I'll do this in green, ACB. Do you see how that is not, you're not plugging it in right here, so don't worry about that anymore. I want to know what's this angle right here. So, real quick, if this is 150, this is 150, and guess what this is? 150. Remember that zigzag pattern trick? It's an obtuse angle. It's actually corresponding to EFC, the one we know right here. So yeah, it's going to be congruent. So it's 150 degrees. So make sure you always read what they're asking for right there. Okay. On 11 and 12, we've done these on warm-ups twice, so you could always look at your journals, but we got to be able to solve for y, right? So let's do that. On 11, what do I need to get rid of first? If I have x and y on the same side, and I'm solving for y, I've got to move that x first. So to get rid of this positive x term, I subtract x, I subtract x. And then we got to remember the extra little step that I taught y'all is that you take this and you put it right there, right? So these x's cancel. I have 3y equals negative x plus 6. And then to get rid of the 3 in front of y, everything gets divided by 3. Okay? Now, I have y equals negative x means negative 1x, right? So my fraction should be negative 1 divided by 3x plus, and then 6 divided by 3 is 2. And now I can answer these questions down here. My slope is negative 1 over 3. My y-intercept is 2. On 12, same idea. Get rid of my x. So I'm going to take that x and I'm going to subtract 5x. And on the other side, subtract 5x with my little arrow to remind myself where it goes. 5x's cancel. 2y equals negative 5x plus 8. Divide by 2, everything. So y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 4. Negative 5 over 2 and then 4. Okay. On to the next one. Sketch the graph. Remember, whenever you are graphing, you always graph the b first. Y equals mx plus b. B for beginning. So my b right here is positive 2. Put it in point at 2. And then my slope, my m, rise over run, is negative 3 over 4.
Rise over run.
So don't forget, rise over run. Negative 3 over 4 means down 3, right 4. Put a point there, and you can draw your line through that. Okay? So again, it was down 3 over 4. Okay? And then number 14, we have to solve this first. So I left you a little room down here. 2x plus y equals negative 5. You got to solve for y. So just like on the last page, minus 2x first. Put it in front. Y equals negative 2x minus 5. And that's it. So my slope is negative 2 over 1. My y-intercept is negative 5. So put my point at negative 5. That's where I start. And then my rise over run is negative 2 over 1. Down 2, right 1. Or if you switch it around, up 2, left 1. That also works. So we're going to take that, draw a nice line through that. Okay. That's how you graph those. Always graph the b first and then the slope. If two lines are parallel, the slopes are, we did this on yesterday's warm-up. Whoops, let's go back. Please. Nope. So if two lines are parallel, the slopes are the same or equal. If the two lines are perpendicular, describe the slope. Remember, there's two changes. We call them opposite reciprocal slopes. Opposite means change the positive, negative. Reciprocal means flip the frac. Flip that frac.
Opposite reciprocals, perpendicular slopes. You change the positive, negative, and you flip the frac. Flip, 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 flip the frac.
Don't forget to flip the frac. All right, 17. Given the equation, y equals negative 5 over 6x minus 3, write the equation of a parallel line and a perpendicular line. So we know parallel means keep the exact same slope, negative 5 over 6x. But we're going to change that y-intercept, and I'll do that in blue, from negative 3 to whatever number you want. I just randomly am going to pick negative 1. But for perpendicular, that's the one where you have to do the opposite reciprocal. Okay, so opposite reciprocal. So y equals, the opposite of negative is positive, and the reciprocal, the flip of 5 over 6 is 6 over 5. Okay, so just to be consistent here, it's going to be in blue. 6 divided by 5. That's my new slope. X, and then we'll keep the same y-intercept, but this could be different, doesn't matter. Okay, and we'll do the other on another